It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue. Eco-friendly Honda engines with reduced emissions available at the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. And they circulate the air up to 10 times per hour, so you're not going to get that emissions headache that you'll get at other places. It's a very clean environment. They're doing their best to try to reduce their carbon footprint, as it would be, as the term is becoming very popular today with the climate change. So get over to Joe's Karting today. Do a little fast-paced white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs.
Fast-paced, white-knuckle, kind of like riding to the races with you, buddy.
Yeah, we're going to see how that Silver Bullet does, too. Or I guess it's the Silver Surfer. Stan Cisar has the Silver Bullet, so we have to. I had to rename my truck when I got a new one, and the Silver Surfer. We'll see how she performs when we go down to Kansas Speedway in May for that. By the way, we have a big announcement coming for Kansas Speedway at the end of the show. Let's preview today's show. Turn number 1, we will talk about the race at Phoenix Raceway, and the end results, the penalties, the appeals, everything that's gone on since Phoenix last Sunday. In turn number 2, we'll sit down with Stan Cisar for the Sprint Series in Nebraska schedule, kicking off this coming Saturday at I-80 Speedway for the Spring Meltdown, so you're going to get it just in time. And then in turn number 3, we will talk with Lindsey, driver of the 49L Sport Compact at I-80 Speedway. She's doing something special this year with Sammy's Superheroes, so she's going to come in and talk about all of that. And then again, in turn number 4, we will make our big announcement. We'll talk about the next contest. Oops, I let it slip a little bit. But we'll make our big announcement, and we will also preview the race today at Auto Club Speedway on Fox today, and MRN starting at 2 o'clock. Green flag waves at about a little after 2:30. That's also when the picks are due, is at 2:30.
The beginning of the end of the West Coast swing, because then
Correct.
They go to Martinsville and then go all the way back to Texas. Why they don't switch those two around drives me crazy and has for years.
You know, teams have to go back home anyways to Concord, so maybe it's just like, you know what, we're buzzing by Martinsville. I mean, they got to go to Concord, and then they got to ship back. So, I don't know. There's ways they could probably tweak the schedule to make it a little bit easier. But, boy, what a complicated thing to try to do if you're NASCAR, to try to switch dates around. Because you talk about hotels being busy. You talk about teams being booked. I mean, certain things within that area they try not to interfere with. But, yeah.
The logistics nightmare of a race is incredible.
Oh,
and that's where you got to give kudos to a team like Furniture Row running out of Denver.
Yeah.
Now, this whole thing has been a piece of cake for them. It's a couple hours away, you know.
I wonder if them being more centrally located in the United States, if overall it doesn't help them.
No, overall it doesn't. I can tell you that for a fact by talking to them. Brendan Gaughan's team used to be headquartered. Their shop was literally right on the complex with Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Okay.
And, you know, they weren't quite centrally located, but to run like they originally started with the Winston West Series, et cetera, then it was great for that.
I bet.
But when they were trucking back and forth, you know, wherever on the East Coast all summer, yeah, that was a big nightmare for them. Same with Morgan Dollar when they were out of just outside Oklahoma City in Hennessy, Oklahoma.
Let's kick off today's show as we usually do, recapping the previous race, and that was Phoenix. Dirk, give me your thoughts on Phoenix.
Third week in a row that the apparent winner didn't win.
The guy who looks like he's going to sail home to that win doesn't get it.
Now, poetic justice this week with the 22 taking the win away from the 18. 2 weeks in a row, and this week he didn't even touch him. He wasn't outside of him when he lost it and hit, and so he went into the wall this time.
True.
But, yeah, just poetic justice there. Big call by the 31 to stay on the track. And I do not recall at this particular time who were the two cars that stayed out with him. Three of them stayed out.
78 and 17? 78 and 17.
I mean, and those two held up the fresh tire guys just enough to let Newman get away for the win. Well,
and it was really interesting. You know, I'm pulling for Newman because he's the underdog, but I'm also wanting Larson to win because He's been so strong lately, and you know the way this sport works that you got to hit when the
when you
metal's
get the
hot,
chance, you got to do it
because he's gonna cool off in 3 or 4 weeks, and all of a sudden top 10s are gonna be tough, and then maybe it'll swing back the other direction. But yeah, I was pulling for Larson, and you just watched it all happen in slow mo when Larson dove to the inside, and you're like, oh man, he's there, and then all of a sudden Stenhouse was inside of Larson, and they make contact. Miraculous save by Larson. I mean, talk about a dirt track save. He held on to that baby, and kudos to him being able to hold on to that second spot, but you knew right there it was going to be tough, and I knew it was even going to be tough for Larson or anybody, because they always talk about the guy that has the widest bumper in NASCAR is Ryan Newman. He is the hardest guy to get around, and he's gotten into several post-race arguments, discussions, hard feelings, because it's like, man, you're slower than me, you were a lap down, get out of the way, and Newman's, no, I'm fighting you.
I'm bigger than you. I will stay in your way.
No Neck Newman is the widest car out there, even though he seems to pass post-race inspection every race.
But they didn't get close to him.
Right.
You know, so I think if Kyle Larson would have got close to him, he'd have roughed him up a little bit trying to get through.
Well, and it was funny because they talked about 2 seasons ago at the Fall Phoenix race how Newman used up Larson to get into the Final Four at Homestead,
yep.
and Larson's crew was on there saying, hey, don't forget what he did to you a couple of falls ago. Feel free to lean on him if you got to, and I think he'd have paid him back. Probably not as hard as Newman did, because Kyle's a really clean driver. I'm always impressed with how nice he is out there. He doesn't like to push people around.
If he could have got him going into 3 and 4, he'd have dumped him.
Yeah.
You know, for the win, and hopefully been able to stay out of it. That's another thing. You know, if you dump somebody on purpose, sometimes it collects you too. Mm-hmm. You know, which would have given the win back to the 18. But it didn't happen that way. It is a good win for the sport. I was glad to see Newman get the win. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. Breaks 127 race winless streak.
Yeah,
it was
several
something
years
like
since he's won.
It was the July 2013 Indy race that he'd ended up winning, and then it also breaks RCR's drought, which was from the same year, but the fall November Phoenix race where Harvick won that one. And I didn't do the math, but I think it was somewhere around 112, 111, 110, somewhere in that area of winless streaks for RCR.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, but they've been running good. I mean, Ryan's been qualifying up front all year. The cars have been good. Jamie Mack's been running up front. Well, Jamie Mack's with Larson, but the two of them have been running up front all year. You know, so it was going to be a good win either way.
Yeah.
You know. Me personally, I had the 18 in the Pick'ems contest, so I'd have preferred that, but that didn't happen. But I'll take the 3rd place finish, and you know, we roll on. It's just turning into kind of an odd season. You definitely got to watch the last 20 laps of the race to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. And outside of the Martin Truex dominating his race, things have been, you know, tore up and switched up a little bit. So.
Yeah, if for the 3rd, 4th race I'm going to say 3rd race in a row, because when they talk about finishes at Daytona, I never get surprised when you see a typical mid-pack or backpack runner finish up in the tops at the super speedways. For the 3rd race in a row, I think there's guys back there that you could look at a stat sheet and go, whoa, where did he come from? How did he jump up there all of a sudden? And to kind of talk about that, I'm talking about Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones. Those were all top 10 finishes that you don't typically see those guys running up in the top 10. Obviously, Daniel Suarez is a rookie this year in the Monster Energy Cup Series, but Eric Jones and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., good for Ricky. I think he had a good car on Sunday at Phoenix.
Yeah, Roush has definitely put a good piece under Stenhouse the last couple of weeks. He's run real well. Eric Jones ran up in the top 10 all day. It's not like where'd he come from. He just never got to the front.
Yeah.
But it was a good track for him, and he had decent luck there in the Xfinity Series. And I think, wasn't he one of them, maybe the 77 and not the 78 that stayed out in those 3?
The report I saw, because I couldn't remember either, it said Martin Truex Jr. and Ricky Stenhouse were Newman, Truex Jr., and Stenhouse were the 3 that stayed out.
Because I thought Larson the 77 was about the one that crashed with Larson that went 3 wide. now that you've mentioned Jones. For some reason, that's sticking in my head. And so they almost look alike. They're our team cars.
Different color or different sponsors, but they're kind of the same paint schemes.
So he might have very well, when the announcers mentioned, that's what was going on, because you can't tell the numbers on the card unless you got a good camera view, and they're showing the whole field. You can't pick them out unless you know who they are.
So Newman got the win. Larson finished as the bridesmaid once again, runner-up for the third week in a row. Kyle Busch third, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fourth, and Brad Keselowski has a fifth-place finish. A little asterisk next to that. We'll talk about it here coming up here in a little
bit.
bit.
Asterisk.
Another asterisk next to Kevin Harvick. Not another for him, but it's another asterisk, and this time it has to be next to Kevin Harvick's name for his sixth-place finish. Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, and Denny Hamlin round out the top 10. Matt Kenseth, tough day for him. Hits the wall hard. I mean, oh my, was that hard. Finishing 37th on the day. He got himself a whopping 1 point. Joey Logano also blew a tire. I believe that was the problem with Matt Kenseth's car. So Logano finishes 31st, got himself a whopping 16 points after finishing stage 1 as the winner. Looked like he was going to have a very strong car, but he got caught speeding on pit road during that second stage, had to go back to the back, and a big conversation was how much brake they had to use at Phoenix because these cars were going faster with the lower downforce. Excuse me, they weren't going faster. They had less drag. So in order to get the car wound up, you had to lean on the brakes a little bit harder. And that was a big conversation about why some of these tires were blowing, i.e. Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano.
Well, drive them hard. You're going to melt beads and stuff. And they did go over a couple times on the television about the brake ducts and the tape and stuff that was over them and what the guys were doing with it. And they showed up close and personal of it. Those brake ducts aren't very big. And you get some trash on them or something, they block them up. Cause a lot of trouble.
I think that was Joey Logano's car that they did that side by side. They showed the right side of the car. It'd be the left side of the car had 3 pieces of tape in one clip and then 2 pieces of tape in the next one. They'd pulled 1 piece of tape off that brake duct vent to try to cool that tire down just a little bit more. And that's kind of the cool thing that you don't see a lot of. When they come off of 4 tire changes and they inspect those tires, the data they have off those things, they know exactly what's going on. And so when they came in on the next stop, the crew chief Gordon said, let's take one of those pieces of tape off there and try to get a little more air in there. But the more air they let in, the less downforce they have on the front of that car, so it doesn't want to turn as well.
Well, no, it's still going to go downforce. The air's still hitting the front of the car. It's just when the air goes through the duct, it slows the air down. It actually slows the car down. It is more drag. Okay. That's why they tape it up as much as they possibly can. Same with the radiator opening. If they could tape it up solid and not have any holes in the front of the car, believe me, they would. But
another alternator issue for Kurt Busch. Talk about having issues with an alternator twice in one season is weird enough. To have it back-to-back weekends, somebody got an earful last Monday when they got back to the shop about what's going on with those alternators.
Well, it's the same thing when you see 2 or 3 engines blow up out of one camp. They got a batch of bad parts. They probably buy, they got a couple teams, so they're probably buying, 100 alternators at a time or something, And if you got one bad one in the bunch, you're probably going to have a bunch of bad ones in the bunch.
What's a life on an alternator for these NASCAR teams? I know engines are pretty much one race. Is an alternator one race also, or is that something that they'll recycle? It'll stay with that chassis.
It depends on the distance of the race, because I'm sure they've got an RPM life, which is, from top to bottom, how many times you're stepping on the gas, where you've got a big RPM range at a track like Martinsville. I'm sure that alternator doesn't go very long. Daytona, when you just zzz, and you're buzzing it up there, alternator lasts a long time just spinning at 1 RPM. It's the up and down that'll wear the stuff out.
So we got a couple minutes left in this turn. We're going to head over to turn number 2 and talk to Stan Cisar to get the 2017 Sprint Series in Nebraska schedule ready to go. But let's talk about the penalties that were released. Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick both penalized for failing post-race inspection. Now, this is kind of a confusing one. Brad, initially, the report came out on Sunday night that Brad had failed post-race inspection for being too low and too light. but I didn't see anything of the light category when they described the penalty in the official race report. So his official penalty report that was released goes that he was fined for having the car be, again, too low, and I'm trying to pull it up here on my tablet, so just stand with me, as it's a little bit old.
Well, the too light, I can't remember the last time I saw a weight penalty after a race, so that would really be odd. So that probably was just immaterial and an error.
So according to the NASCAR rulebook, he failed post-race general inspection measurements. So that came with a $65,000 fine for Paul Wolfe, his crew chief. Also suspended Paul for the next 3 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series points-paying events, and the team has been assessed the loss of 35 driver points and 35 owner points. That's a pretty hefty penalty.
It's real hefty. I mean, that's basically a one-race penalty.
Kevin Harvick was found to have illegal track bar mounts and supports. That's what he was fined for. That was also a level 1 penalty,
which is being appealed.
Absolutely. Crew Chief Rodney Childers suspended for the next Monster Energy Cup Series points-paying event and fined $25,000. The team has been assessed the loss of 10 driver points and 10 owner points. As Dirk had talked about there, Stewart-Haas Racing has decided to appeal their penalty. As of Thursday afternoon, we recorded the show. They are appealing their penalty. Thus, Rodney Childers is going to be at the racetrack today at Auto Club Speedway. We hadn't heard anything Thursday afternoon on Penske, so assuming Paul Wolfe will not be the crew chief this weekend and that Penske is going to accept that penalty.
Already having a win makes a big difference.
Right. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Turn number 2, Stan Cisar will join us as we will break down the Sprint Series in Nebraska schedule coming up next here on the Front Stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch, heading into turn number 2, and it's time to sit down with the voice of the Speedway and the voice of the series for the Sprint Series in Nebraska. That's Stan Cisar for the second week in a row. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
We're enjoying another Sunday in the Midwest. Stan, you have, 6 days to get ready for the 2017 season. Have you started yet?
Yeah, it's going to be touch and go, though. We're gonna hit things hard starting on Sunday afternoon, and we'll have everything ready to go by the 1st. But just pull into the pits at Wichita. Got time trials tonight and practice session for the big NCRA race, 360 race this weekend. Made the trip down with Cody in his 360 car, and my car's sitting in the first car in staging. When we get back, we're going to hit that thing hard for the season opener. That's going to be at I-80 Speedway on Saturday, April the 1st, and that's the Spring Meltdown. MLRA late models will be in the house, and it'll be the kickoff race for the Sprint Series of Nebraska IMCA Race Saver Division.
Talk about the Sprint Series of Nebraska. Is this the third year of it's the third year of the series, right?
Third year of the series, and the racing has been excellent. You know, usually we got quite a bit of rain last year, unfortunately, but usually there's about 10 or 12 races per year in that deal, and they're all at kind of different tracks. Everybody gets a chance to get a couple dates here and there. Four races scheduled up at the US 30 Speedway in Columbus. We're going to do the Raceway Park Speedway up in Jefferson, South Dakota. We'll be having 6 events at Eagle. There'll be 3 SSN races at Eagle, and then the one at I-80, Belleville, Kansas, and the Boone County Fair at Albion, Nebraska. So be an 11-race season, along with the regular weekly show every week down at Eagle Raceway, and it'll be a full season for the guys with the Race Saver cars. It's
a good opportunity for the guys that have the Race Saver 305s to not just race once a week at Eagle Raceway. You can get out every once in a while on a nice, kind of a relaxed schedule, so that it's not killing you to follow the series. You've only got 12 dates scheduled.
Not killing us to race for points, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But so the kickoff is Saturday, April 1st. That's at I-80 Speedway during the Spring Meltdown. Then on Saturday night, April the 15th, we move back to Eagle Raceway. It'll be night number 2 of the Icebreaker Challenge. Sprint Series in Nebraska will be on the card for that one. I look forward to getting back to Eagle Raceway then for race number 2 on the season. Thursday night, April the 27th, we head out of our first of 4 shows at the US 30 Speedway in Columbus, and that's a great track. Fans turn out. They love the sprint cars out there, and they have about 4 races a year, have their own little 4 race points championship out there for Columbus at the US 30 Speedway. Then the following month on Thursday, May the 18th, the second appearance at US 30 Speedway for the Sprint Series of Nebraska. Then a big special event that everybody's looking forward to, heading back to Eagle Raceway on Tuesday night, June the 13th. It'll be all wings all night long. The World of Outlaws will be in the house. And also with the World of Outlaws will be the Sprint Series of Nebraska Race Saver 305 cars. And it should be a great event. The guys that the sprint car purists, let's just say, will have their night to see no fenders and no doors all night long.
All open wheels, all the time.
Yes.
Hey, Stan.
That's right. Yes.
Stan, with the traveling here like the Columbus and I-80 and stuff, does the series have their own officials that work all these races, or do they just leave that up to the track?
Yeah, pretty much. Billy Lloyd does the flagging, when the series travels out of town. Roger, of course, does tech inspection. Racine, his daughter, is the race director and makes up all the races, and I do the announcing. And it's pretty much self-contained show.
So it's a regular traveling series at that point?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. I was just kind of curious. I haven't got out to see him at the other tracks except, I-80 and Eagle. So
sure. And like I said, Columbus is a great track for him, and looking forward to getting back out to the Boone County Speedway in Albion, Nebraska this season. On Sunday night, June the 18th, we head up to the Bull Ring up at Raceway Park in Jefferson, South Dakota, and that'll be a new track for the Sprint Series of Nebraska for 2017, but looking forward to heading up there. Then it's back to US 30 Speedway on Thursday night, June the 22nd, for the third of their 4 races. On Monday, July the 3rd, on 4th of July weekend, another new track, a race that's going to be co-sanctioned with the United Rebel Sprint Series, so there's going to be quite a few race saver cars in the house. That'll be at the famed Belleville High Bank Speedway in Belleville, Kansas. So
that'll be cool to see.
Emotions about that one, but it'll be kind of cool to see. You kind of wait and see how things are going engine-wise and how we're doing the point standings before we get around to that date. But that'll be coming up on 4th of July weekend, Monday, July the 3rd. Another favorite race, when you head out to the county fairs, it'll be the Boone County Raceway at Albion, Nebraska, and that's during the county fair Wednesday night edition of the races on July the 12th. So that's always fun when you can head out to the county fair and do a little racing and enjoy yourself, and it's a special Wednesday night race. And then 2 weeks later, on Thursday, July 27th, the final event out at the US 30 Speedway, the 4th of 4 events out there for the Race Saver Sprint Series. On Friday, September 8th, we're back to Eagle Raceway, and it's kind of the season finale. That's the annual Nebraska Cup, and that's going to be another one of those races that you really don't want to miss. It'll be the only time the fans will be able to get to see the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series in the house, and also the one that's going to be a pretty popular event, the Power Eye Lucas Oil Wingless Auto Racing, the War Sprint cars, will be in the house. So it'll be only 3 classes, all feature classes, feature divisions. We understand MAV TV is going to be in the house. They'll be filming the action for broadcast at a later date on MAV TV. And that's going to kind of wind our season down. Of course, the previous week to that, we can't forget about this will be the 5th annual Race Saver IMCA Sprint Car Nationals at Eagle Raceway. And if last year was any indication, we're looking for even bigger and better in 2017. Last year, we had 117 cars take green flags. Had about 15 heat races and all the way down to like a J or a L feature every night, and then come back on Sunday, start the fastest 27 cars in the house, 3 wide for 35 laps, and it'll be the war to settle the score,
Heck of a season. I like how, and a lot of these drivers like it too. You guys don't have a lot of money to do a bunch of touring. Put 12 races together, go and hit some of the best tracks in the area. It's
close enough to where it makes it an affordable drive,
right,
for the most part. And the thing about it is, as you said, it's a few less nights. If a guy wanted to concentrate on running for points in the series, he doesn't have to do like a 20-race season and worry about hitting every Saturday night all week long. all year long.
And a lot of these are days other than Fridays and Saturdays, because like you just said, if you're points racing somewhere, you don't want to affect their chance at making points at their track. So it's going to be Thursday night races, Tuesday races, Sunday races, good accents to long weekends.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that is it allows guys that might be racing, in our case in particular, Cody's got a full season with 360 cars. A lot of those races are on Saturday nights. So we won't make a lot of the regular weekly shows. The Eagle will pop in whenever there's an off weekend. But having those races on off nights that he doesn't have a 360 race scheduled with his own car, it allows him to drive my machine, and we go out and have a little fun, do a little racing.
Yeah, we haven't got to talk about that much. You gave me the lowdown last year during the season, but we kind of left it for off-air conversation. You got yourself a sprint car. You went crazy.
Yeah, went crazy. Yep. We kind of got out of the road racing business, and I had a little money left in the racing account, and a good deal came along, and I just really enjoy being involved again, and hanging out at the garage and the camaraderie and being able to be involved besides as just an announcing standpoint, get a chance to tinker with the cars a little bit, and just having living the dream, man.
Sounds like a retirement hobby.
Well, you might want to call it that.
Well, if the race team needs an extra hand, I'm always looking for something to do, and I need to learn more about these race cars, so feel free to put me to work.
You're welcome to go along anytime.
I'll have to come out there. Cody Ledger going to be your driver for the season, or are you going to swap drivers every once in a while?
No, he'll be in the seat for the entire 2017 season, and I got a couple good sponsorship deals put together, and trying to plan on doing some more engine development, and I think we'll have a pretty good program for 2017.
All right, Stan Cisar, the voice of the Sprint Series in Nebraska. You can catch him Saturday nights at Eagle Raceway and throughout the Midwest as he is out at I-80 Speedway most Friday nights and touring with the Sprint Series in Nebraska and the Nebraska 360 Series. Stan, I got to give you grief just one more time. I thought you retired to have more time.
Well, I did actually. That's what I'm doing in Wichita. This is the first year I made the trip down to this really big race down here, and should be a lot of 360 cars down here in the house. And made it to the Chili Bowl for the first time this year, and plan on spreading out and getting away from the shop a little bit more during the week in 2017, and having some fun.
If you get some free time in the morning one of these days, what is it, a 2-night race down there, Friday and Saturday, with practice night tonight, or what they got going?
Yeah, they've got practice night tonight, plus they've got time trials, and they put up some money for the fastest times and stuff like that, so that'll give everybody a little incentive. But and then tomorrow night it's preliminary qualifying. They'll lock in the top 4, and then the big race, it's $15,000 to win and $1,000 just to start the A main event. So it's a car that's going to attract a race that's going to attract a lot of really good cars that are in the area, and looking forward to it.
Well, if you get some time, maybe Saturday morning, don't sleep in and drive about 25 miles northwest of Wichita down there to Hutchinson, Kansas, and go visit their salt mine. That thing is really cool. It sounds silly,
really?
But it's really neat. 600 foot straight down, and there's one little elevator in and out. There's no stairs if the elevator breaks, though.
Well, we don't. The only vehicle we have is the race car hauler and trailer. So I don't know if we'll be making that trip, but
take the race car, make it in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, maybe
sure, yeah.
Park it out in the lot, maybe get some sponsorship.
I don't fit in the seat of that, unfortunately. So.
All right, Stan, have a good weekend.
Hey, that sounds great. I'll text you some results and what's happening. So.
All right, I appreciate it. I'll put that up on the page. Thanks, Stan.
Hey, don't forget, man, next Saturday night, that's the first race for the Sprint Series in Nebraska at I-80 Speedway.
I've spent all weekend prepping. I can't wait for it.
All right, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. You do, guys.
Bye. Again, Stan Cisar for the Sprint Series in Nebraska. Really easy. www.sprintserieesofnebraska.com. You can click on the schedule and get the full rundown. Again, Stan talking about April 1st, this coming Saturday night at I-80 Speedway is the kickoff to the 2017 Sprint Series in Nebraska schedule.
Triple W, is that the same as www?
It is. Trip W. As they used to say back in the day, the World Wide Web. Now we just say, well, we don't even say www anymore because everything starts with www. So you just say SprintSeriesInNebraska.com.
How come it's World Wide Web and the Internet? Why isn't it the interweb?
The interweb is a different thing. That's an internal thing. See, now you're getting into computer stuff, and we're supposed to be talking about turning left.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about either one.
Neither do most of us. Let's take a break. We'll come back in turn number 3. We'll sit down with Lindsey Theisen, driver of the 49L, and talk about her 2017 season and the special things she's doing for Sammy's Superheroes. Sammy's Superheroes. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
There is no such thing as an off-season at Joe's Karting. No matter how cold it is outside or how much snow is on the ground, you'll always be warm and dry inside at Joe's Karting, the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Located in Council Bluffs on 23rd Avenue next to AMC Theater. Find Joe's Karting on Facebook or head to joeskarting.com for hours, pricing, and a schedule of booked parties. That's joeskarting.com. Karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's Karting today and find out what all your friends already know.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 3, and it's time to sit down with one of the local drivers in the area. She drives the 49L at I-80 Speedway. Lindsey Theisen joining us. Lindsey, how you doing?
I'm good.
I got to ask you the first question. I hate the way you spell your name because I see it and I want to say Theisen.
Yes, everyone does that.
What is with this? Can we just change it, please?
We can change the spelling.
Okay, thank you. Let's do like Tyson Foods. That would be much
Yeah.
easier for me to understand. And maybe there's a sponsorship available for you there.
Oh, that would be nice.
I apologize all week long when I created the promo. It was the promo that's been running on the radio talking about how you were coming in. I said Theisen. I didn't realize it until this morning that I'd done that wrong, and it was too late to stop the train. So I apologize. I've been saying your name wrong the entire time, which is nothing new for this show.
Just like Jeff Ike.
Yeah, I said that one wrong the whole time too. So, all right, Lindsey, let's talk a little bit about what got you involved in racing. What was the start of this whole thing?
Well, growing up, my uncle always raced stock cars, and I always watched, and I begged my parents for a Hornet, and they wouldn't. That was like the one thing in life they did not give in on.
Really?
So then when I graduated high school and started working more, I found one, and I called Chad and I was like, let's go buy it. And he was like, okay. So,
and that's Chad Sanders, right?
Yeah.
Are you related to Chad somehow?
yeah, he's my mom's brother.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's what everyone tells me.
Well, I see him over in your area, and I'm like, oh my God, she is running around with some shady people. That's Chad.
Yep, he's my uncle.
Loud, shady people.
Yeah, he is loud too.
He was the one that got in trouble. He almost caught the backstretch on fire at the Silver Dollar Nationals, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he does that every year.
And he got flipped in the infield one year. And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
he about ran me over right before that happened, too, because I was the front stretch steward that night. And I'm the one that sent everybody to the infield that they were trying to run over on the track.
But we're talking with Lindsey here, driver of the 49L. So you and Chad went and got this car. You put things. He helped you build it?
No, we actually bought a race ready.
Okay.
And I raced it twice, and he was like, this thing is slow. You need a different one. So then we built one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you got to do. How involved were you with building it?
I helped gut it.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Pulled it all apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about the hardest thing to do to one of these.
Yeah.
It's the funnest.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of
We
fun.
went through some interesting things building that car.
Really?
Hmm.
Can you tell us on the radio?
Well, it was can you imagine me trying to gut a race car?
Well, I know you're a pretty tough. You're a tough broad. I mean, I'm not messing with you ever.
Well, good. No one should.
I'll push people like Andrew Kaziski around, and I'll make fun of Ryan Jenkins because I think I got the weight to gusto ratio down for someone like Ryan Jenkins, but I'm not messing with you.
Well, good. I like to hear that.
We got to get some of the other drivers out there in your division to have that same attitude that I do because they like to push you around every once in a while.
Yeah, a little bit they do, but
You had a pretty hard wreck at I-80 last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
They took you, or was that the Cornhusker Classic of 15? Did they? They
no,
took
it was
you out?
this year.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was like midway through the season.
Yeah, you took a hard front end impact into the outside front stretch wall. You were turned coming out of turn 4, and not very happy with the guy who turned you.
Nope. Well, I got hauled off in an ambulance.
Yep.
So that was fun.
Was that the first time you got to experience that?
Yes, and hopefully the last.
Absolutely. We can always go for that.
Awful young to be saying that.
Well, get it out of the way early. That way you don't have to do it later in your career.
Yeah, and after I watched that video, that shouldn't have happened from that hit. So.
Yeah. And it was one of those weird things. I remember talking with some people about it. It didn't look like that hard of a hit, but it was.
Yeah, it didn't look like it at all in the video I watched either, but it definitely knocked me out.
Yeah.
You stop fast, don't you?
Yep.
All right, so you started your organization in 2014. You're out of Omaha. You compete at I-80. Anywhere else you compete at weekly?
Nope.
Just I-80?
Just I-80. I'll go other places on Saturday if I feel like it.
If you feel like
and
just
don't
getting out.
break on Friday.
Yeah. Well, my dad gives up every Friday night for racing, and if he has nothing going on and he's willing to do it, then we'll probably do it. But I can't ask that much of him.
Yeah. No, it's a tough thing to do, to say, hey, let's go racing more. So is this something that you want to do as kind of a hobby, or is it something that you want to add to it and eventually become the next Danica Patrick, except you want to win races?
Yeah, it's just a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah, it always probably will be.
Because you've got 2 or 3 different people mindsets when it comes to racing. Some of these guys are, where I'm going to the top, I'm racing the highest divisions, I'm going to win everything. And other people are like, you know what, it's just a fun thing for me to do.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's probably a good way for you and your dad to kind of bond a little bit.
Yeah, my whole family. Like, that is how I'm so busy with like school and working that racing is definitely what brings us all together. So.
Yeah. Well, I always like coming down and talking to you guys in the pits because you're one of the teams that feeds me beer at the end of the night. And your dad never bills me, so I like that.
Yeah. We definitely like to drink beer.
You said you got started watching Chad race. So you've actually fairly new to the sport then, because Chad probably didn't start until, 2005? Something like that?
Yeah, I was in 5th grade. So it's my 4th year racing.
Your 4th year racing, but again, I've been going to the races since like back in the 60s.
Well, my dad always took me to Sunset and stuff, but I actually fell in love with it when Chad started racing.
Was there one specific thing that made you fall in love with it? Was it just like all of a sudden you were like, oh my God?
It's the adrenaline and the atmosphere and the people. It's just fun.
How big was a smile on your face the first time you came in from Hot Laps?
Pretty big. You probably can't even imagine.
Was it scary for you to go out there and kind of run and kind of test that car out?
Yeah, and the first time I raced, it was actually in Beatrice too. So it was like a place I'd never even watched the races, and then I just went there and raced. So. And
that track, if I don't know if Dan's been to Beatrice yet or not, but that track's a lot like what Sunset Speedway was. It's longer straightaways, not quite severely as banked as I-80 and tighter turns, but whole different deal than I-80.
Mm-hmm.
You do really well with kind of the family-oriented atmosphere for your race team. You could tell that down in there that it's a family operation. There's a lot of those in the teams, but it's not you guys aren't out to kind of push people around. There's certain people in the pits you can tell they're a rowdy bunch, and people tend to stay away from a little bit. But you guys have a very fun atmosphere. Does that just come with being related to the Sanders?
Gotta be a part of it.
Yeah, we're a fun family, but. I'm not too, I'm serious about it, but at the end of the day, I'd rather leave there smiling than all mad. There's been a few times that my dad has been I've been holding him by the back of his shirt because he just wants to go punch someone, and that's not why we're there, so I try to keep him tame, and...
It's really interesting because, for me, I would assume... And again, you know what they say about assuming the saying for that.
Do.
Right. That because it's one of the smaller divisions, it's more of a hobby division. Some of these guys take it really seriously, and I'm not talking bad about them or anything about that. I really do like watching the Sport Compacts, or the Hornets as they used to be called. But it's really surprising to me how hard these guys will race at times, and they'll lean on people. And I've seen it a couple of times watching the races and calling the races at I-80, and even back at Crawford. There's rougher racing in the Sport Compact division than I think there is in the late model division, because these guys know they can get away with leaning on you because it's a little bit slower pace and it's cheaper vehicles. So who cares if I put her in the wall? She'll be back next weekend anyways.
Yeah, sometimes it is. At I-80, not so much. When I go to, like, I've gone to Eagle, and I feel like I just, like, get beat up on so bad there at I-80. I don't know if it's because I race weekly or what, but it's not as bad.
But at Eagle, you tend to get pushed around a little bit more.
Yeah,
I kind of hear that about Eagle a little bit. It's nothing bad about Roger. It's just it's kind of like the Bowman Gray of the dirt track world in this area, because the guys there think you got to earn your keep in order to be there. And like you said, because you're not a weekly racer, maybe that's the reason why you're getting pushed around a little bit more.
Yeah, and I don't know anybody. I have no friends. I can just go ask. Like, if something breaks, I'll go ask, and I'll have something to use.
Who's your go-to at I-80?
It depends on the year.
Okay.
I mean, usually Tammy Clark.
Yeah.
But, like, 2 years ago, we were going for a championship, so
you guys weren't.
It
working
wasn't
together
really
very well.
Tammy Clark. But other than that, yeah, it has been.
Okay, and I think you finished runner-up that year in 2015.
Yep.
Fourth in points, fifth in points in 2016.
Sixth.
Yeah. Well, you missed a couple of races, didn't you?
Yeah, I got in
wreck.
that crash,
Yeah.
and then I went on a family vacation. So hopefully this year we're going to be there every week.
Okay. No family vacations during races.
No,
I was just
not
gonna
this
say,
year.
It's like there's no crying in baseball.
Right.
There's no family vacations during the racing
There's
season.
no weddings.
Yeah, I
during
have a
race season.
wedding.
What?
I have a wedding that I am going to go to the wedding and then go race and then go to the reception.
Is it your own wedding?
No.
Okay, then you don't have to be there.
I know, but she's such a good friend.
Well, there's racing to be done, though.
I'll make it to the races.
Again, we're talking with Lindsey Theisen, driver of the number 49L. What's the L for Lindsey?
Yep.
Okay. Sometimes it's that easy. Sometimes it's a little harder to decrypt that. Talk about Sammy's Superheroes. What's this organization?
Sammy's is a charity. They donate all of the money they get to children's cancer research, and they choose where their money goes based on, like, doctors and research, like, things that aren't chemo based.
Okay.
And it's because chemo just, like, totally ruins kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met with them and I just fell in love with them. So that is.
And the reason why we're bringing that up is because you announced at the beginning of this year that you're donating all your race winnings to a charity, and you were looking for charities to partner up with to donate your race winnings to.
Yes. So this year I have a brand new car, I have brand new safety equipment, I have brand new everything. And, like, my sponsors just, like, totally they're just so amazing. And I couldn't take the money that I won and just keep it. Like, I just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. And, like, I've always wanted to give back and stuff, so I figured that this was the perfect opportunity. And I talked to my sponsors and they were all on board. So that's when I asked for ideas, and actually no one said Sammy's. I found it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's good. You're helping out the little guy that's doing some really cool stuff. And I think it's really cool that a sport compact driver is doing it, because I think that's a division that is really hard to turn any kind of a profit in that division, because it's pit passes for you and all your crew are usually more than the prize check at the end of the night for winning the race.
Yep. So my dad has always paid for his on pit pass, and then I pay for mine, and then so, like, that's nothing that we aren't expecting. So just all the checks are going to go there, and then I'm selling T-shirts that are going there.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
How much?
$20.
$20?
Yeah, you didn't see it on my Facebook?
No, I had to shut off my Facebook for a while. I thought I would be able to turn it back on after November 7th, but it hasn't gotten any better, so I've been on my Facebook very limited. As you know, as we were communicating back and forth, and I'm like, you'd send me a message, and a week later I'd get back to you. I don't get on my Facebook as much as I should, because I just can't take the negativity on there. So, yeah, I didn't see that part. But sign me up for a shirt. Are you going to be at I-80 on Saturday for the Spring Meltdown?
I might go watch, yes.
Okay.
But we're not racing.
Come up to the booth. If you're there, I'll bring $20 and I'll get a shirt from you. I need a large.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Lisa always has the habit of getting me an extra large. I need a large.
Okay.
What you need is a medium for motivation.
Actually, the large is my motivation. Lisa's right. I need an extra large, but large is my motivation. And so, yeah, okay. Lindsey Theisen, driver of the 49L Sport Compact. Who's some of your sponsors this year?
Well, I have Silex, Beaver Excavating, Rock Trucking, Frisco Spices is back.
Yes.
Yep. Hopefully he gives us some good stuff for you guys.
That was
again.
she sent me a message one night. She said, "Hey, we're having a cookout in my pits at the end of the night." And I'm like, "I'm not telling anybody. I'm coming down there for everything." But I think that night it was like
it was raining and it was free night.
Oh, it was like 15 degrees that night. It was so cold and rainy, and it wasn't a good night to have. It was just a bad timing.
But the food was really good.
Yeah, I think I had 2 or 3 dogs.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Frisco Spices is back.
Yeah, they're back. And then Warrior Martial Arts, Easy Living, my dad's friend Steve, Mr. Tile, and Jaybirds.
Okay. Jaybirds is a bar, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that who supplies the alcohol?
No, that's where all of my sponsors hang out.
Okay. Okay, one last question, and this is the tough question of the night. Your dog's going to be back this year, right?
That is the tough question in my
the
world,
tough
too,
question,
because
No, we got one more tough one after that.
Oh, okay.
she is out of control.
She was out of control the night of the Cornhusker Classic when she was running around eating all the empty beer cans.
Yes. Well, now she's twice that size.
Oh, God. So now she's going to be eating all the empty tires.
Yeah. So I take her on a walk every night to try to get her used to her leash again, because the only time she ever used it was at the races, and now we've been on winter break, and I'm trying really hard.
What's her name?
Stella.
Stella, that's right. I can never remember that. That's right. All right, Dirk's got one last question for you, and this one is kind of tough.
Yeah. If you were the racing god, okay, and this doesn't pertain to you as a driver, you as an owner, it can pertain to people in the stands, promotion, anything like that. What would you take? One thing, what would you change in racing?
You can change anything. It doesn't have to be anything that the laws of that doesn't have to follow the laws of nature.
Listen, we ask Cup people this all the way down, and we get answers from tires that never wear out, a fuel tank that's unlimited. Dave Despain had a great answer when we talked to him. He said an ATM card with no limit. Rico Abreu was great. He's probably got our favorite answer, and he said kids under 12 at any races should get in free.
And I think NASCAR heard that, because all of a sudden now the Camping World Truck Series and Xfinity races, kids get in for free. Kids 12 and under get in for free. Cup races, kids are $5.
Scott Bloomquist said at the dirt track races they should put up a big plastic barrier so the dirt doesn't get on the fans. They're all good answers.
No.
There can be any. I mean, then think of it this way: what would be one thing that you could change about racing that would make it easier for you?
Lindsey wins all the time.
That would be really nice. But
Would
if
it
there
be-
was a way to get the fans more involved.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this before. You come once and you have no idea what's going on, so then you never come back. We need a way to hook them when they walk in so they keep coming.
Okay.
Is that an answer?
Well, yeah.
I think so.
You don't have an actual remedy. You've got an idea.
Yeah, that's something we need to do, Dan.
Just ways to get fans more involved.
Yeah, they used to do at I-80. They used to do all these fun things during intermission.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should go out there and make some fun things happen.
I'm still trying to pronounce drivers' names right. Once I get that down, then we'll start expanding my horizons. But I gotta tackle that cow before, and it's a tough one to bring down.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's a good answer. It's
Yeah.
an acceptable answer.
Yep. All right, Lindsey Theisen, do you have a Facebook page, a fan page that they can follow, or do they follow your personal page?
Well, I have my personal page, but I also have Lindsey Theisen Racing.
And apparently her personal page, she just approves anybody.
I guess.
Maybe I'm just on the racing page. Anytime I see race car stuff, I usually, hit a like or, friend request or something.
do if someone accepts the
Careful now. Edit that out.
request me. I will look at their pictures, and if there's a race car, then they automatically get
That's
accepted.
the way I do it.
Okay.
That's the way I do it because I had so many people with Kevin Presky through, the Iowa Dirt Track Legends and stuff like that. And, I'm like, who is this? And I look over, a race car guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
My-
the only way.
My usual criteria, if anybody asks me to be friends on Facebook, is do they have more than one friend, and do they live in the United Kingdom? Because that's usually 2 strikes. Some girl on there that's half dressed, and she wants to be friends with me,
Yeah,
and I'm
that
like,
happens a lot.
I don't think that's...
Yeah, no mutual friends? Nope. Don't think I'm good there.
All right, Lindsay, when's your first race?
April 7th.
That would be the Bug Eater, right?
Yep.
All right, fingers crossed, weather permitting. We'll see you at I-80 Speedway. Lindsey Theisen, Theisen. You can find her on Facebook. You can follow her fan page, and you can see her out at I-80 Speedway. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
We'll be back at Turn 4 to wrap it all up. This is the front stretch.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100 plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter Turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to it. Heading into turn number 4, just about ready to wrap today's show up. Want to say a big thank you to Stan Cisar and Lindsey Theisen for joining us. Stan joined us to talk about the Sprint Series of Nebraska schedule for this year, getting kicked off this coming Saturday at I-80 Speedway for the night number 2 of the Spring Meltdown. You can get your tickets in advance, i80speedway.com, or pick them up at the gate, although they are usually cheaper in advance. And thanks to Lindsey for joining us to talk about her getting into racing, her 2017 plans, and her contributions to Sammy's Superheroes. Make sure to pick up a shirt so that way the proceeds will go towards Sammy's Superheroes. Dirk, we got 2 things to talk about in turn number 4. We're going to start with the big one. That way, if we go long, we can briefly talk about the race at Auto Club Speedway. Because, really, you're going to get the better coverage pre-race on Fox. As much as I don't like them, they've got the real-time advantage as to where we're pre-recorded. Man, you pulled it off once again. I don't know how you did it, but you did it, and you brought back the best 5-week contest that we've ever put on, and that was at Kansas Speedway last year. We hooked up with Richard Childress Racing and Brendan Gaughan to give one of our fans and their friends the experience of a lifetime, and that was being a crewman for a day. You're doing it again, Dirk.
We've partnered up since the track requested it. Which neither one of us was ready for. We were expecting to do the fall race again. Mm-hmm. And we've been working on setting something up for Newton, if anybody's paying attention. So there's going to be more than one shot at this. Hopefully there'll be 3 shots this year.
That'll be nice.
We're pretty much in the works for the first 2 anyway. We haven't worked on the fall race at Kansas yet. That's a ways out. But we're going to team up with Mittler Brothers out of the St. Louis area. Mike Mittler, got to be friends with him 15 years ago roughly when I was working in the truck series. Super nice guy. Made sure and went over and talked to him last year at Kansas for this race. He had Bobby Pierce driving for him, so we set up an interview with Bobby, which we lost, but later got it done at Knoxville. We lost it to a generator, but Mike is going to help us out. He sounded kind of excited about it. It sounded, like a unique experience for him. Yep. But for those that aren't familiar with the 63 team, it is where Carl Edwards got his start. Before, that's where Jack Roush discovered him and signed him. Jamie McMurray got his start with Mittler Brothers, so he's had some good drivers over the years. And everybody knows Bobby Pierce is a dynamo right now in the dirt track world. So, we're hoping, we don't know yet for sure, but we're hoping he brings Bobby Pierce back to Kansas this year. That'll give somebody a nice chance to meet them. But, you'll be up on the pit box listening to a scanner, so you'll get to hear the conversation back and forth between the driver and the crew chief. You'll get to go through tech.
That's just a cool experience.
Well, the guys last fall, I didn't get to make it down. I ended up in the hospital that weekend with a little health issue, but the guys that did it down with Brendan Gaughan just couldn't say enough good things about it. And somehow it got through to the track, and they wanted us to do it again. They really enjoyed it. So we're just actually waiting for the final okay. But the fact that they asked us to do it, we're pretty sure that they're going to go ahead and jump on board.
So here's what you're going to get. If you win this contest, you and a friend will win garage passes to Kansas Speedway for the Friday, May 12th, Camping World Truck Series Day. And the day starts at about 8 a.m. So I would suggest once you find out if you win, you go ahead and book your hotel rooms for Thursday night, Friday night, and even Saturday night, unless you want to drive back Saturday after the Cup race.
Because you will have grandstand passes for the Cup race on Saturday night.
Correct.
So you got a full race weekend.
But you'll get there Friday morning about 8 a.m. You'll check into the Camping World Truck Series garage. Unfortunately, the passes will not carry over into the Cup Series.
But I'm sure there'll be a handful, at least a couple guys coming over from the Cup Series to drive. Mm-hmm. So a very good opportunity to maybe snag an autograph from somebody before the race starts.
So the way it worked last year, again, you'll get there at about 8 a.m. They'll feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you're going to get three square meals. And they're going to put you to work. I mean, they'll help. You'll be pushing the truck through tech inspection. You'll be pushing the truck out onto the starting grid for practice. You'll be watching the team as they practice that day for final truck practice. You'll go through all the procedures. You'll be pushing tires. You'll be doing all sorts of. Maybe you'll glue lug nuts on. Who knows what they're going to have you put to work. But when I talked to Mike about it about a week and a half ago, he said, "Man, we've been doing this so many times. It's such a cool experience for fans. We know exactly how to take care of them. We know what they love to do and things that they tend to shy away from. If you're younger and you're physically able, they'll put you to work with some physical stuff. If you're a little bit older, and they'll put you in some lighter physical work, or maybe none at all. But they're going to get you involved with being a crewman and kind of experience it."
Now, you do have to be 18 years of age to participate in this.
Correct. And a legal U.S. resident. That's the only two rules as far as participating in it.
And that's the 18 age deal. That's a NASCAR thing. That's not us. We'd love to be able to give it to a 12-year-old. But, again, you got to be 18 to get into a garage area at a NASCAR race. There's not a whole lot of rules like there used to be. Now they allow you to wear shorts and stuff. I'd recommend a pair of jeans. But
it's going to be May, so it's probably going to be chilly. It's going to be a night race. I don't think jeans is going to be much of a problem. You might get warm that day, but during the nighttime race, you're going to want to have those jeans.
You're going to have access to the hauler, so they're going to give you a tour of all that stuff, show you what a shock dyno looks like. There's spare engines in the hauler.
And you get to ask any questions you want. I mean, that's the really cool thing is this isn't a young team that's not used to this kind of stuff. These guys are pros. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's going to be really cool to be able to hang out with Bobby Pierce. He's one of these guys that's got a very bright future.
Is Bobby going to be driving for him at Kansas?
I guess I should back that up. There's a really good chance that Bobby's going to be the driver. They're still trying to finish up the paperwork, and they're still trying to finish up the last details, but if Bobby's the driver, that's going to be a really cool experience.
It's going to be a cool experience no matter who's the driver.
True. Very true.
But Bobby with a dirt track background, considering most of our listeners have the dirt track background, is a kind of an added advantage. But last year, Brendan's crew provided real nice crew shirts for the guys, crew hats. I mean, there was so much stuff there. Obviously, we have the winner go, and we've set it up for a winner and a guest, so the guest can be like the photo guy, But even last year, Dan was the photo guy for a lot of the stuff because obviously we put it on a Facebook page and, did a little PR work on our own. But it's a really neat deal. I've been through it umpteen million times, it seems like. So for me, being in the garage area is not that big a deal anymore. Dan's kind of getting used to it. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of fun for me to be able to show him when they're teching on stuff exactly what they're doing. I'm planning on being there. I was planning on being there in the fall. Like I said, it didn't work out. But I can go with you through tech, and if they don't want to answer a question or it's a secret, I can try and explain it to you. But I don't think you'll have that issue with Mike. Yeah. I mean, there was plenty of times I asked about stuff that, I wasn't sure about, and he'd explain things to me. He's a very sharp guy, very personable. And I think whoever wins is really going to enjoy this weekend.
Here's how you get involved. You can do one of two things. If you're already a part of the season-long contest, you've got an email in your inbox on Friday that announced the contest. Just click on the link I sent you, join the Crewman for a Day contest, and you're in. That's all there is to it. And again, thanks to Rick Havenbridge and Wealth Partners for paying the bill for that so that we can do these contests and we can execute it online to make it easier. The important things, the questions I know we're going to get kind of asked, the frequently asked questions. Whatever you do for the 5-week contest does not affect the season-long contest, and the season-long contest does not affect the 5-week contest. Two totally separate contests, and because of that, when you log in and you check your pools, you have to select between the two. You can't make one pick for both. You have to pick one driver for both contests. So you have to drop down the front stretch season-long contest, make your pick, go over and drop down the crewman for a bay contest, make that pick. It's going to start today, so we apologize for the late notice, but it's just things came together really late, and so we've been working really hard to get all this stuff done. So it starts today with Auto Club, lasts for 5 weeks, 6 total weeks overall because we have a break over 1 week, and it ends at Richmond, so that'll give you 2 weeks to make your arrangements to get down to Kansas Speedway however you can. And then transportation and hotel, lodging, that's all up to you. But yeah, winner gets garage passes for the Truck Series garage and gets to hang out with Mittler Brothers on Friday, and then on Saturday you get tickets into the grandstand. I believe 2nd through 5th is all going to get tickets to the Truck Series race and to the Cup Series race. So we secured all those prizes for people 1st through 5th. Everything else is the same for the contest. You can't pick the same driver more than once because it's a 5-week contest. No double picking drivers. Picks are due by the time the race is by the posted race time. It's pretty simple stuff.
And then Saturday, though, when you go to that grandstands for the race, you can go out it's basically like a fan walk deal that they've got outside the track. There's obviously all the souvenir trailers to go to, but there are so many promotions being brought on by the sponsors.
Dirk, I wanted to bring that up because you missed the October race. I went out there and walked around that grandstand. They don't have the driver trailers anymore with all the merchandise. Now it's these giant tents that are set up, a lot like what you see at the College World Series.
Okay, they did tents this year?
Yeah, Dirk, it was really cool to walk through, and I was really impressed with how the prices. $12 for a hat, $10 for a hat. It's no longer that $25, $30 for a hat. Seemed like most of the cost you were paying for that merchandising stuff was to haul those trailers around. There's a lot of savings inside those tents.
Yeah, they're still doing it. I just didn't know they'd gone to tents. And I know it's gone to where they've got everything in one tent where they used to have a different trailer for every driver type thing. So
yeah, and they were kind of broken up. So like the bigger drivers, Earnhardt had like 2 tents. They're all one big tent, but they're all it's all sectioned off. I got to look side of there and hit my microphone. It's all sectioned off. Earnhardt had like 2 or 3 tents. Stewart-Haas Racing had a tent, and then Danica and Tony and Kevin all had a tent, and so it was all broken up. But then and then there was all the NASCAR ones had a couple. It was pretty cool to walk through and really easy to walk around through there. I really liked it. So that's all fun stuff. If you want to get a hold of us and you're not a part of the season-long contest and you need the instructions, send us an email, frontstretchradio@gmail.com. That's the email address to get a hold of us and to get involved in this contest. But again, it starts today, so you have them from now until about 2:30 this afternoon to get your pick in and be a part of this contest. Unfortunately, because it's a 5-week, I can't let you in late because it's not going to do you any good.
Right.
You're going to be so far behind that you're probably not going to be able to get up into the top 10.
Yeah, and if you go out literally in your first race and you get 1 point, I don't care who you pick, but they crash out and finish 38th. You're pretty much done.
Yeah.
You basically got to pick 5 weeks and stay in the top 10 all 5 weeks.
It's a tough contest, but it's a lot of fun to do it. All right. Auto Club today. Dirk, I think the most common thing you're going to hear is 3 wide.
A lot. It's definitely a 2-wide track. Definitely a high groove and a low groove, and the track is so wide. And I expect with the way this season has gone, you will see the speeding penalties on pit road playing a big factor in this race, just as they have in the first 2. Logano had everything going his way, was out front, had the clean air, and was very fast. And then all of a sudden the pit road penalty puts him in the middle of the pack, and then he's got to abuse his vehicle, and then he hits the wall. You've seen pit road penalties at California before. I expect to see some more of those today.
Coverage kicks off today at 2 p.m. on Fox and on MRN with the green flag scheduled just after 2:30. All picks are due by 2:30 sharp. Do not delay. Get your picks in on time. And big thanks again to Stan Cisar and Lindsey Theisen for joining us this morning. If you missed any part of today's show or you want to hear an extended version, head to YouTube, subscribe to the Joe's Karting page, and we'll post this show at about 10 a.m. this morning so you can hear the extended version. We'll be back next weekend with Andrew Kaziski and I believe Jack Dover is scheduled to join us as our 2 guests. We'll do it all again next weekend. For Dirk Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. This has been The Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
The official watering hole of The Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs is the high-octane excitement you've been looking for. It's the Metro's largest indoor track with eco-friendly, low-emission engines. You can enjoy fast-paced road course racing just across the river at Joe's Karting, located near Bass Pro in the Mid-America Center on 23rd Avenue and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. Open Monday to Thursday, 2 to 10, Fridays until 11, Saturdays 11 to 11, and Sundays noon to 8.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.